Debt, fear, relationships, the children, your health, work. When you want to give up and you need courage to continue, take heart and stay tuned as RJ Jackson writes her signature message of hope on your heart. You don't have to live where you're dying, and you don't have to die where you're living. Like every show of Conversations on Courage, you'll be informed, inspired, and encouraged to find the courage you need to succeed at home, work, and in your business. Get your pen and paper. You'll want to take notes. And now, your host, RJ Jackson, the Courage Giver.
Hey now, happy Tuesday, and welcome back to the table. You talk about authentic, down-to-earth conversation. Well, we had one last week, as in every week. And let me just remind you, today is no exception. We got lots for you to talk about today. We have opportunities, encouragement, and inspiration that will cause transformation in your situation. Yes, we have lots more in store just for you. Oh, yes, we do. Because joining us at the table this week is Maryum May May Ali. But first, here's 60 seconds of something amazing with leadership expert John Bentley.
Hi, I'm John Bentley, and today's quote comes from one of our founding fathers, Patrick Henry, former governor of Virginia. Patrick shares that history is just that, history. You see, you can't change the past no matter how hard you try. Oh yeah, you can make choices and decisions to positively impact your future. So decide what you want the future to hold instead of living your life in the past. The past will hold you prisoner and detour you from the optimistic things waiting on you in the future. So here's how to start thinking about your future. History is meant to be read about, not lived. So start planning for the future now. See life as exciting and adventurous instead of something you must go through. 3 quick self-reflection questions to help you start living in the future. Number 1, ask yourself, in what ways am I working to improve myself? Number 2, how may something in my past be holding me back from living my best life? And number 3, what choices will I make to determine my new future? Again, I'm John Bentley. Thank you for listening. You can reach out to me at www.power2transform.com. That's power, the number 2, transform.com.
Thanks, John. You're amazing.
Stay tuned. Coming up next, RJ brings her special guest to the table for more authentic and down-to-earth conversations on courage.
So, you know how something is so good to you, you just seriously can't wait to do it again? The first time you try a new meal or you go to a different place and you're like, that was so much fun. I can't wait to come back, or I can't wait to do that again. Well, that's how I felt after interviewing Maryum May May Ali the first time. I just couldn't wait for her to come back. So today, I get to sit at the table and invite you to join me as we have an authentic, down-to-earth conversation with author, speaker, and the eldest daughter of the great Muhammad Ali, Maryum Ali. Now, we're going to learn a lot about Maryum today, but I want to just start off telling you just a little bit about her story, her journey, and the impact she's made on her community and around the world. When Maryum was a child, her father, Muhammad Ali, asked her, "What is your purpose?" And she replied, "I want to help people." Maryum's efforts to do just that were manifested in so many ways throughout her life. Maryum has been a role model within the music industry She's graduated from college magna cum laude with a bachelor's degree in social work and has over 15 years experience in the Juvenile Delinquents Prevention and Youth Development Program. She is also a speaker and the author of I Shook Up the World, An Incredible Life of Muhammad Ali. Will you join me in welcoming to the table Maryum May May Ali? Maryum, welcome to the table, beautiful. Or actually, should I say welcome back to the table? How exciting it is to have you here once again on Conversations on Courage.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Hey, let's get started just having some fun, give our audience an opportunity to get to know a little bit about you. So I'm going to ask you about 7 questions, and it's an either or. You'll just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind that lets us know a little bit about you. You game?
Yes.
All right. So Netflix or YouTube?
That's a real hard one. I would have said Netflix 2 years ago, but I'll say YouTube.
Are you sure about that?
YouTube's the answer.
YouTube's the answer. It's funny how time changes us, right?
Uh-huh.
Phone or text?
Text. No. Phone. Phone.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, phone it is.
Phone it is. Would you rather work hard or play hard?
Work hard.
Work hard. Would you rather be the passenger or the driver?
Driver.
Now, when it comes to getting dressed, is it casual or dressy?
Casual.
Now, here's a fun foo-foo one. Toilet paper, over or under?
Over. Always. That's a pet peeve of mine. I mean, I adjust that toilet paper to be over, like, and if it's not over, I'll switch it.
And when it comes to seasons, because seasons do change, winter or summer?
Since I live in LA, I have to say summer.
Yeah.
Now, if I was in, I would say summer in Chicago, too. I really like the fall. You left out the fall. My favorite is fall, but I'll pick summer.
All right. Yes, those winters in Chicago, they are no joke at all.
No joke.
And those summers in California, simply beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, girl. Thanks so much for playing. That was fun getting to know you. We're honored that you're here today to share words of encouragement and inspiration that will help cause transformation in somebody's situation today. So let's go ahead and jump into our conversation. Let's learn a little bit more about Maryum Ali. So I often say it's not what we drive, but it's what drives us. So tell me, what was your driving force for the social service field that you're in? How did you get there?
I was a kid who always had a desire to be of assistance to people. I was the oldest of 4 in my group. My father has 9 total. So out of the whole extended family, I'm the oldest of 9. So I was always like a mother hen type older sibling. And my dad used to ask his children, he would always ask questions, maybe from 5 years old all the way up until 12. What do you want to be? What is your purpose? He would ask us. And I always said I wanted to help people. And at first I wanted to be a doctor, but I didn't like blood. So I got out of that one. But when I was little, I was one of those kids who kind of knew early what I wanted to do or the area. I think it was important for my dad to ask me those questions because at 12 he knew what he wanted to do, and he stuck to it all the way through his career. So he wanted to engage us in that kind of thought process early on. And I knew to be in a helping field. And then I picked the specific field of juvenile delinquency and gang prevention and youth and family development when I was in school. I was getting my degree in social work, and I had a cousin who got murdered in the 90s in Chicago. He wasn't in a gang. He got killed by a gang member. He was looking forward to college, and the whole family helped raise him. It was probably the worst tragedy in our family. His name was Otto Ali. And he died, and it made me want to get specifically into the field. In social services, there's so many directions you can go, which attracted me to that field because you can do so many different areas of it. And when I got out of college, I worked for a gang prevention program in L.A. called Community Build. They were a very premier agency, did great work, and learned a lot from them. I was with them for about 10 years. So, yeah, that's been my area. And right now I'm working on developing my own program, a 3-year pilot model I really want to implement in South L.A. Just like my dream model when I was a case manager working directly with youth and families. I always would dream about how I wanted a program to be, even though the program I was at was great. I just always, what if we had this or that, or we didn't have to deal with the bureaucracy of government contracts, and we had everything we needed. What would that look like? And that's what the 3-year pilot is about. So that's what I'm doing, raising money for that, developing that. It's going to be a long road, but hopefully I get there in a couple of years and do the pilot. And I would love to train in the field after I do the pilot. So, yeah, that's the short answer.
They say we could hear our story and someone else's story, and that's why it's so important to share our story. So thanks for sharing your story. I heard myself all in your story. Oh, girl, I hate the sight of blood. Hate it.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, won't be doing that career. Like you, from an early age, I knew where I was going in life. And like you, I had a great dad, too.
Yeah.
It's important.
We're blessed to have that. A lot of people don't have that. Fathers are real important, and mothers, But when a girl has a dad, it really does build a lot of self-esteem and direction and self-protective factors that you have as a woman if your father's kind of teaching you about some of the crazy things men do. It's good having your father be able to teach you that stuff.
It's nothing like the Father's love. Your dad said, if my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, then I can achieve it. And you're on your way to achieving even greater things that you've set out for yourself in the social service field. Tell us about your organization.
Well, it's called DMTL. The website about this particular model is dmtlfamily.org. The D stands for Dolores, the T stands for Tyree, M stands for Marcel, and the L is Larry. Those are the initials of names of my business partners' family members who unfortunately were all murdered in Gary, Indiana. And we kept the organization, when I met my business partner, he already had the nonprofit, but he didn't have a program attached to it. So when we both worked at the Mayor's Office of Gang Reduction and Youth Development for the City of Los Angeles, and when we connected and partnered up, he had the nonprofit and I had a program idea, and we kept the title. So the website is dmtlfamily.org. And, it's a comprehensive model that we're taking 6th graders, and we're following them all the way through the 8th grade, working with them and their families. And they are assessed as having risk factors for gang joining and severe juvenile delinquency. Is 20 years of research in what are these risk factors and how do you assess. So the kids that we are with, they're more vulnerable to gang involvement in severe juvenile delinquency, and we treat each child and family as individuals. But we look at what are the issues there, and we work collaboratively with them. And I say collaborative because we don't tell them what to do. We're partners in trying to help them find and solve their own problems. A lot of times, people have the solutions. Like just say you have a family with a lot of different dysfunctional things going on, or issues or challenges they're dealing with. They have a solution in the house. They just have to identify that they've used those solutions before, because all families just aren't dark, 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 right? You have moments where the whole family's getting along perfectly and everyone's respecting each other. Just say you have a family picnic and you just have a great day. Well, what were the elements and things of that day that made it great? Now, they may not do that year-round, but they're able to do it. So when working with the families, you have to acknowledge that the solutions are there. You just have to try to figure out how to apply them most of the time, right? And so when we're working with the families, we're with them, and they're going through things throughout the year, and we have services and programming that deal with all those things, whether it's mental health counseling, just skill building. Most folks don't even know how to control their anger. Most of the time, anger is what's happening right before stuff hits the fan, right? And then where does that anger come from? Why are you angry? So we're dealing with the root causes of conflict, violence, disrespect. We have an academic portion of the program, and that's really huge because a lot of the youth I work with in these programs their GPAs are very low or they're failing. But there are reasons for that as well. So a lot of these kids and families, they are living in marginalized, disenfranchised environments where they're the targets of these major disparities in our country. Their schools are not as nice as other schools. Their neighborhoods are not as nice, and this has an impact. So we try to deal with that impact and try to help them navigate through it and blossom within it, because that's possible. A lot of great people have come from those communities, but how do you use it to refuel, and how do you react in a way that you can overcome all those things you're dealing with? So that's what we do, and like I said, I've seen this model work, but like I said, the model that I have, the reason why it's a little different is that we don't have kind of government telling us exactly how to do it.
So most of the children that you serve, starting at 6th grade, at-risk students, unlike you and unlike myself, most of them don't have a dad in the home. There's a mom who's doing her best to work, raise her children, and give them the best experience of life possible. What words of encouragement would you share with the single mom who may be in that position that didn't have a dad herself to help her build her confidence?
I mean, only thing I'll say this based on the ladies, and you're right. Unfortunately, most of the kids didn't have fathers in the home. It's just so unfortunate. The women I've seen who have made it through, and I take this from them, not so much from me, but from them. They're always seeking for opportunities for their children where they're at, or they try to go outside of where they're at. It's just like they're determined to find something. They're not just at home, and they're looking for solutions. They're looking for support. They're looking for help. And I would say, whatever community you live in, think outside the box. Maybe the community college has, volunteer tutors that can come to a school. Know what a lot of communities aren't even involved in their school. A lot of people they don't even know what the schools offer, right? So make sure you're tapping into everything your child can benefit from this within the school. If there's something, be an advocate, be an involved parent in the school system if you can. So if they don't have tutoring, maybe you could be that kind of parent that gets signatures on, we need some after-school tutoring for our kids. But being at home and not seeking for resources and not being involved. And I know, and this is hard for mothers who are working really hard. It's very difficult. But you kind of have to try to, during your lunch break or on the weekends or via email, find those openings to try to find programming and services and resources for your young person. Try really hard. If there's a mentoring organization on the weekends, you might have to drive to a nearby city for a mentoring program. Do what you have to do because, unfortunately, people are living in these barren areas with not a lot going on. But you never know. There might be a youth program that's 2 miles away that you didn't know anything about, right? That are looking for kids to enroll. But if you don't seek, you won't find. So when we would try to, enroll kids, we were doing outreach, and we would I would speak at the graduations of fifth graders before they entered into the sixth grade, so the parents knew at the fifth grade graduation that we're there when they got to the sixth grade. And most families say, oh, I didn't even know you were there. I didn't even know. So I would say just look, carve out some time to do a search in your community or nearby communities. Another thing I would say is on a personal note, is be connected to your child as much as possible. Know their friends. Talk about what's important to them. When give them that one-on-one time and energy and attention. On the weekends, go take your child to the beach or to the lake. Get them outside of the community in the nature. It would be great if they could have a God source in their life, something to look at a higher, to uphold higher than what's down here on the earth. If you can give them something to hold on to that's bigger than them, and just know what's going on with them. Really talk to them, because a lot of times what a youth finds devastating or concerning is not concerning for an adult. So we kind of look at it like, oh, that's just kid stuff. But for them, it's the biggest thing in the world, right? When you see these young people committing suicide, I'm sure the parents had no idea that their child will commit suicide, right? But are you talking to your own child about what is bothering them? Because kids tend to hold things in because they're getting brushed off, or they're getting, oh, that ain't nothing, just have a thick skin, So try to be as concerned as they are, when they're young, build this communication relationship with them, this back and forth, where they actually know that you are listening. Because when they become adolescents and those hormones start going crazy and they start acting crazy, you want that relationship already established before those adolescence years, right? So if people with young children, really pay a lot of attention to them and engage and talk to them a lot. And I'll say from experience, my father was like that with me, my grandparents, my mom. I mean, if things were going on, they were talking to me about it, and I was able to express, okay, this is happening at school, because I had some issues at school because of my father being so famous. He was fighting, and people were picking fights with me all the time because he was a boxer. And don't get it twisted, I was beating him up, but I was always at the dean's office. And my grandmother, I was living with my grandmother at the time. She was like, "Why are you always at the dean's office?" And I told her, I said, every day someone picks a fight with me, and I'm not having it. So, I had problems in elementary because the boys always wanted to fight me. And then I went from a Muslim school to a predominantly white school with very few black people, and there was a lot of intolerance at that school. And I was little May May X, and I wasn't having it. I was very militant. And so it was really jumping off, right, because I was not taking it. So I was dealing with a lot of stuff with a famous dad, and I made it through by the time I got to middle school, I had a reputation, don't bother her, she will hit you back. But luckily, I wasn't in a gang infested neighborhood at the time. I was in kind of an upper middle class white neighborhood where, getting into a fight didn't mean death. But these kids are dealing with, okay, someone could bring a gun, someone could bring a knife, they can get jumped into a gang. They have it much harder than I even had it. So yeah, that's the advice I would have for parents.
Great advice. Spend time with your children. How do you spell love? Time. And Maryum, you said, look, I don't float like a butterfly, I don't sing like a bee, but I'm Maryum May May Ali. Don't mess with me.
Yeah.
You let them know, didn't you?
Yeah, it was nuts.
And thank you so much for sharing those strategies for women who are on the front line with their children and trying to give them the best experience of life possible.
You're listening to Conversations on Courage with your host, RJ Jackson, the Courage Giver. Quick, call your friends and invite them to listen in.
You've talked about going outside of your comfort zone, your area, to learn more, to do more. And I know you've done that yourself. You've taken a class on communication, which you found very helpful. Tell us just a little bit about that class and how it has impacted your life.
I was in school a few years back. I came across this community class, and there was a required book that I would advise the world to get. It is phenomenal, excellent read, called People Skills by Robert Bolton, Ph.D. I can't think of a book that has changed my life more in terms of improving my relationships and improving just the communication style that I have. But in particular, there's something in there called the barriers to communication. And I just wanted to share this so much with people because I actually began to implement it in conversation with friends. And I would notice some friends, the conversation was easygoing, and other friends, it's not like, or family members, it's not like there were bad conversations, but it was a little more conflict in the conversation or pushback. If I said something, it was this pushback, and I didn't understand what that was. So being like that, I've always wanted to help people as a child. That kind of hurt me in communication a little bit because when you want to help people, that's what you tend to do. So if someone's in a conversation, I always have, I have some advice, and it came from a good place, trying to advise and help. But when people are talking to you about things, they're upset or they're under any kind of stress with the topic, or if the topic is important to them or they're emotionally connected to the topic, it's not always good to give advice, when they're under a certain amount of stress. And what happens is they put up a barrier. So one of the barriers to communication is and judging, and advice can come off as judging. There are three main categories. When people are stressed out, you don't want to judge. You don't want to send a bunch of solutions. You don't want to avoid their concerns. But there are 12 barriers to communication, and I found myself doing some of these, and I didn't even know they existed. I didn't even understand the psychological outcomes of doing these things. And when I stopped doing them, conversations became much better. So I'll give you an example. I had three sisters say, May May, sometimes when we talk to you, you're giving advice, but we just want you to listen. We don't want the advice right away. And it's good advice, but could you just listen to what we're saying, without the advice. And then I coupled that with this class, and I said, they're right. So let people just say what they need to say and don't judge it by your advice. Because a lot of times when you give advice, you're saying, and what they're hearing is you're doing everything wrong. This is what you need to do. It doesn't mean you can't give advice, but you don't give advice when people are pouring their heart out and they're really concerned about things. Or you can give advice in a way where you say, what do you think, or what do you think you can do in that situation, right? How do you think you could solve it? Because a lot of times they know what they need to do. So it's things like that. There's so many different barriers, or just say you avoid their concern. I had this one friend. I would notice some of my friends would do this to me too, and it would get me upset. Just say I'm talking about something that's important to me. And a friend goes, don't worry about that. You stop stressing over that stuff. Oh, you'll be fine. You're not even validating what I'm trying to say or understanding why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. You're brushing it off like it's nothing because it's nothing to you. Just kind of avoiding my concern by saying something different, right? And I think we've all done these things, and we've probably all had, we've had people do these things to us, but they're the 12 barriers. I'm going to just run through them. They're criticizing, name-calling, diagnosing, praising, there's ordering, threatening, moralizing, questioning, advising, diverting, logical argument. Logical argument means, say I'm with this guy and he's not treating me right, and then my friend is trying to be logical. I'm kind of, releasing all my emotions on the situation. And then I've done this to girls too, because I'm very thick-skinned when it comes to relationships, and I don't get the drama. So I've been guilty of this. Well, if he's done this and that, 1 + 1 is 2. Just do what you got to do. And I'm trying to be logical, but I'm not trying to understand the emotional connection they have, right? So I'm just being logical. So this book has these barriers, and I'm telling you, when you practice them, and I actually, when I read this book, I said, you know what? I see myself in a lot of these things. I see my friends in some of these things. When I feel like I'm not being listened to, I'm gonna actually practice this stuff and not do these things, and be aware of it. And when I became aware of these things, oh my gosh, phone conversations, going on outings with people, very little conflict. And then sometimes I'll do them and I'll catch myself. I'll say, oop, I just upset my friend. I said the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? I apologize for that, and I back off. But communicating and effective communication is their skill sets that we should have learned from kindergarten all the way through school. Like we take math and English at every phase of education. Communication and how to communicate should have been right there with that, because I've worked with brilliant people with PhDs and, directors of programs and, supervisors, and some of your greatest people do not know how to communicate. I mean, the president who runs this country, horrible communicator. Okay, so, I get no money from people buying this book. I'm not connected with the author at all, but it's one of the best books I've ever read in this area. It's called People Skills. And if people can really, get this book and apply it in their family life with their spouses, and try to implement it in their homes, you're going to see major changes and a higher level of respect among your family.
Lessons learned and communication is a very important lesson. Thank you for sharing with us that lesson you learned. And one thing you said that was really important, you didn't just get the information, but you allowed it to have transformation in your relationships. And that's what we want to encourage people to do today. We live in a culture that we got information, but what are we doing with it? How are we learning lessons that's going to make a difference? Hey, you learned some lessons from your father that you talked about. Tell us one of your favorite lessons you learned from your father and how it actually shaped your life into the person you are today.
The time you spend in life is a form of worship. And media, you have to be very careful following the status quo in media, because media has displayed images of people who worship God and find that important to be crazy or too conservative, or, the images have really impacted the world in terms of how they deal with spiritual people, religious people. And so what I learned from my dad is that watch how you spend your time. And the way you spend your time is the form of worship, whether you think it is or not. So he just said, stay in tune with your faith and give it the time that it deserves and the time that's prescribed. So, we all go through different levels of faith and everything, but what, Muslims are supposed to pray 5 times a day. I make time to make those 5 prayers. You add up all those prayers, it's 1 hour in a 24-hour day. We binge watch Netflix. We're on Facebook for hours. So there are so many distractions that keep us away from what the divine purpose is. And my father reiterated what that your divine, I have a purpose as a social worker, but does that connect with my divine purpose? So the divine purpose, and this is what we had these conversations. This is what people don't know about Muhammad Ali. These conversations we had all the time. Like, it was a part of our life. Your divine purpose is worshiping God and trying to be the best human being you can be, and be conscious of that daily, because so many things will take you away from that. And you say you're this and you say you're that, but how you spend your time is the opposite of what you say you are. So that's what I would say. People should, what is your spiritual definition, if you have one, and how can you kind of spend a little bit more time in that, and how is your behavior connected to that? See, a lot of times we'll separate out church is Sunday, partying is Friday, and everything is, we're just disjointed and everything is everywhere. And my father taught me, don't be like that. Connect your spiritual existence to everything you do, if that's what you say you are. And I haven't been perfect my whole life, but I found that when those things are connected, I'm at peace. And a lot of people who are not at peace, they're chasing the money, they're chasing the women, they're chasing the men, they're chasing the dollar, they're chasing the cars, they're chasing the hair, they're chasing all this stuff. And it's really, in my opinion, a form of worship, because that's what you're chasing constantly. A lot of people aren't happy. They're not happy with themselves. They're not, even when they get all the money. We look at, people that are very rich and go, they're so rich. Why are they strung out on drugs? They're so rich. Why are they unhappy? They're so rich. Why are they? Because that material existence is not what the goal should be. That is what my father taught me, that's helping me be a better person, like every day. He taught me a lot of different things, but that right there is connected to everything: relationships, how I live, how I deal with people, how I treat people, what my job is, how I deal with my family. All that's connected to that. So yeah, I just am I feel very grateful. I'm saying, so that would be the main thing for me. How am I spending my time? And I cut back on a lot of things. Like I said, it's funny when you said Netflix or YouTube. I used to binge watch a lot of TV, and I would have said Netflix a few years back, maybe 5 years ago. But I get more out of YouTube because I watch some of the documentaries and, some of the spiritual things on YouTube I find on Netflix. I find myself watching that more to help inform that side of me more if I do want to watch things. I used to watch certain shows, they had a little celebrity gossip. I stopped watching all those shows because I'm like, I'm giving these people ratings. They're spreading rumors about people. How am I contributing to this person? They're making their money, on people's problems and challenges and rumors and hardships, and that's how they're making their money. I can't vote. So if I don't like it, why am I watching it? I'm giving them ratings. I'm feeding the fuel for that energy. So and this is recently, I stopped watching some things that I thought was just entertainment, and I had to think about it and said, okay, I'm kind of helping this. I'm helping perpetuate this because I'm giving it energy. I'm giving it ratings. So I'd say, okay, I got to stop watching this. As much interesting as it could be and funny and all that, if they're going to exploit people's problems and hardships and actually spread rumors, because a lot of it is rumors, actually spread them, well, I shouldn't even be turning it on, So that's where I'm at personally, in terms of the world's getting so crazy that I'm looking at myself saying, am I a part of the problem? Am I a part of the solution? If I'm supporting it, I'm a part of the problem. If I say it's a problem but I'm supporting it, I'm a hypocrite. So let me just not support that anymore because I can't be a part of that energy. The thing, I don't judge friends who want to watch certain things, and I just keep my mouth shut. If that's what they into, that's what they're into. I don't say anything. Everyone's like, I'm on my own personal thing. I can say this is where I'm at, but I don't say you need to do what I'm doing, because they're not on my journey. They're not on my path. But you asked me the question, and I'm just answering. This is what I'm doing with my life, because the world is getting so nuts. I'm always looking at where am I at in this, And I want to go against that, against what's kind of popular if it's not making sense, because I'm rooted in something very specific, in terms of what I should be doing as a woman and as a human. Some people don't have a definition of what that is. They just kind of loosey-goosey all over the place. Yeah, but other than that, I don't step on anybody's toes with it. I just have to be transparent about what I'm about.
You had personal conversations with your dad, Muhammad Ali, and he said to the world, don't count the days, make the days count. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing. Words of encouragement that you'd like to leave with our audience today?
Just so, live your best life and define what that is. And if it's not working, you need to change some things up. If what you're striving for is not bringing you peace, you might be doing something wrong. So keep seeking that true happiness. You know, if you're exploiting or hurting other people and trying to achieve your goals, something's wrong. And if it's not bringing you the peace in your home or the peace within yourself that you thought it would, rethink your steps a bit and take another path. And only you know what that is. And that's what I would tell people.
Thank you so much for sharing not only your story, but words of encouragement and words that will help us take a risk with confidence. We want to connect with you later. How can we connect with you, either via your website or social media?
Well, the website is a speaker's platform. Usually people that request me for speaking, you do it through MaryumMayMay.com. I have an Instagram, is May May Ali Official, MayyMay Ali Official. May May is like a nickname I've had since I was little.
And if you missed that, you can always catch it on our website at conversationsoncourage.com. That's conversationsoncourage.com. Maryum, thank you so much for joining us at the table today. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Well, what can we say? Another day here at the table on Conversations on Courage, where we absolutely, positively kept our promise to you. Not only did we provide you with inspiration that causes transformation, but we provided you with success strategies for healthy and whole relationships. Hopefully you took some notes, but if not, no worries. Just catch us on the replay. We'll be here just for you. I'm RJ Jackson, the Courage Giver. It's been a pleasure to be your host and introduce you to our featured guest today. In the meantime and in between time, I'm not going to quit my day job. Don't you worry, because my day job is inspiring you to take a risk with confidence so that you, my friend, can live life on the other side of fear. While it is my pleasure to inspire you and encourage your heart here on Conversations on Courage, it is my passion and my purpose to connect with you as an international speaker, to remind you that there's greatness inside of you. If you're looking for an authentic, down-to-earth speaker who speaks not only from the heart, but shares her stories for God's glories and tells about the journey that she's taking, she's on, and that she's preparing for, hey, give me a call. Let's talk. It'd be my pleasure to see how I may serve you. In the meantime, in between time, as I like to say, keep up your courage, take a risk with confidence, and stay blessed indeed. We'll be here again next week, same time, same purpose. And you, my friend, well, you're the reason why. So we hope to see you then. In the meantime, don't forget to follow me online. You can catch me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Anchor, and all social media platforms at The Courage Giver. You can visit my website at thecouragegiver.com. That's thecouragegiver.com. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us for Conversations on Courage. Now that you've been inspired, informed, and encouraged, it's time for you to take action. So head on over to thecouragegiver.com. That's thecouragegiver.com and connect with RJ for a personal conversation on courage. She's waiting to help you take the risk you need to succeed.